everybody, and welcome to DC Fine Art. Today we're working on the last little freehand draw that I did last week. And yeah, I've got out my Derwent charcoal little pan set that you get. It's like a little travel set, and I decided to use charcoal for the background. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm taking my water brush and then dipping it into my little, using my little pans there for the charcoal. Now I am going to speed this up because it would be really, really super long. So this will kind of be a little bit of a speed painting, but it won't go too fast because I still like a 30-minute long video. So definitely took some time because this is a mixed media piece. I couldn't decide on what I wanted to use for the main focal points, like as far as the fence and the leaves. But yeah, I definitely made it a mixed media piece here. And what I'm going to be using is basically on the charcoal is the Derwent charcoal. I do have the tin. It's like a tin set of 6 extra large charcoal blocks. And I am going to be using those also in there. I'll end up showing you the tin whenever I get to it. But I'll be using that because the white that's in that extra large charcoal for some reason comes out more opaque than the white in the Derwent travel little set there, which I have no clue why that is. I don't know, maybe mine is dirty, I don't know, but it just seems like the XL charcoal in the tins ends up being more opaque. So I'll be using the white for like some clouds. But right here I'm using, I don't know if it really had the color names to it. Actually, it probably did. But when you look at the color chart on the little travel set, they usually give you a little color chart and they'll stick it in there. Those colors are kind of different than what is actually in the set. You definitely have to take a swatch and do a swatch test with these charcoals because the little color sheet that they give you, or the swatch that they give you printed on this piece of plastic kind of material, it does not basically tell you the true color. I mean, when I look at it, it looks like it's all pretty much blue. But this color here that I'm using is a blue. It's a lighter blue tint of a color. Now, if you can get it a little bit darker if you use less water, or you can make it lighter by using more water. So that's how you end up getting a wash to it. This bottom color, I did use some blacks on the very bottom, and then I used more of a purplish tone as I worked my way up toward the top or the bottom of the fence there. But I did make my black really washed out with a little bit more water than normal, and that's because I didn't want it really, really super dark. Like, I didn't want it in your face. But here is the XL Charcoal, the 10 set of 6 that I will be using, and I'll be using the white out of the set. I do have a color swatch of those to the left, or no, to the right. No, that would be left. Boy, I don't even know my left from my right. From to the right of the screen, I have my XL blocks charcoal. But here I'm just taking my water brush and just kind of going back and forth across it to saturate it, and it really does come out opaque. I mean, it comes out very nicely. But that's what I'll be using for my clouds. And since it is a background, I mean, I'm not going to get into full detail with the clouds or anything like that. I just want to make some little fluffy clouds just to kind of give you that that look of being clouds in the sky. So no need to go into full detail on it unless you want to. But I didn't, just because my main focal point is going to be the fence and the leaves. So I want those to stand out and be the main focal piece. And the water brush that I'm using is a Faber Castell water brush. I do like this. I mean, it seems to be really nice. It's got the little push button, so that way I can push it on the end. But also, it's got like a syringe kind of thing on the backside. So if you can't get that much water out or you're starting to get low, you just push the top of it down just a little bit and water just starts pouring out. So I mean, you can get quite a bit of water out of this brush. Or you can get like not as much, you know. So I do enjoy this brush. It is a nice one. And if you guys, any of you guys who haven't watched the first one, a part of this video, it was just me saying I was freehand drawing and kind of chatting. So I'm just chatting, doing a freehand draw. And this is part 2. So this is just me coloring in, filling in the colors, and doing like a mixed media piece. So the paper I'm using, if you guys missed out on it and you're only watching this one for the first time, the paper that I'm using is the, oh my gosh, the Paint On by Clairefontaine, the Paint On paper. And it was the tan one. I do have another one for the Paint On, and I do believe it's, let's see here, the black. So I have 2 of the Paint On ones. I think actually maybe I have 3. I think I have a gray one somewhere too, like a gray tone. Just kind of using a brush there, was just kind of smoothing out those edges. And that brush, I don't know what to do about it. I absolutely hate that brush. It does not do very well. It is actually, well, I guess I can tell you what that brush is that I absolutely do not like. I've tried using it for different things and even tried using it for that. But it is the Artify, and it's like the horsehair brush. For some reason, I don't know. Horsehair, it just doesn't work very good. It's too fluffy. It doesn't hold a point when you get it wet. And the hair falls out of those brushes like crazy. So you're always having to pluck hair because it's more than the norm. Like if you get 1 in there, okay, but whenever you start getting like 5 or 6 and 3, and every time you use it, no, the brush is going to go bald here soon. So here I am, I'm working on my next media, adding to it, and this will be color pencil. So I'm actually going to finish this off using color pencil for both the fence and the leaves. Now I've tried out different types of things. I was either going to go with ink tints, maybe add some ink tints for it and make those leaves and fence pop. But as far as the colors go, I don't know. I love my color pencils. I really do. So I went with my color pencils just because I love them. And I love working with color pencils. So it's definitely a joy for me to use them. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the fence and the leaves. And also to let you know, coming up, my next video will be a Paletful pack review. At least first review. So I'll be showing you, actually, you know, I've been thinking about this, but I might actually do my first review and second review all in one. So that way I'm not just doing a painting with these, but I might end up doing a little painting. But I'm going to do the review and just kind of do something with them while I'm giving you the review. And the reason why I'm doing this, I won't want to give away everything, you know, like spoiler alert on the Paletful pack box, but I will say this. It is definitely something very, very unique. I've never tried it before. I will kind of give a little bit of a hint, maybe on it. Well, I'm not going to give too big of a hint. I don't think you guys can get it. All right, let me cut to the chase. So I worked on a video for you guys. Like, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, maybe, or a week ago, week and a half ago, of me doing an acrylic painting. And I ended up giving that one to my daughter. I put it in her room. But I did an acrylic painting on glass. And I wanted to see what it was like just to paint on glass and use it as basically all in one. Like if you paint on one of those glass frames, that you could just paint on it, let it dry, and then hang it up. I mean, all in one. That was really super nice. It really turned out beautiful. I loved it. But now they came out with something in our Powerful Pack box. Try not to give it away. That you can use with glass. So that is so interesting. And I'm pretty excited about this box. It's going to be something totally different. So I decided instead of just doing a Powerful Pack box review, that I was going to possibly do both. Like do the review and kind of do something at the same time I'm reviewing it. So super excited about it. I can't wait. Wanted to get this video out there, at least this video out there, so that way I can start working on our Powerful Pack box review. That is going to be definitely unique. So here I am. Basically, all I did with, as far as the color pencils go, I outlined my lines, my darker shadows with, let's see here. I do have the pencil still here, I believe. Let's see here. I use the, and I only use two different brands of these color pencils. I use the Derwent Lightfast brand, and I use my Caran luminance, and they're two of my favorites. I did use one pencil of the Polychromos, which was the black, but to outline my lines, I either use my nightshade or in conjunction with maybe using a little light layer of black, but mostly it was the nightshade and the Caran Payne's Gray. Let's see here, what percentage is that? You know, I should have plugged in my light so I can see better. Payne's Gray. Yeah, there ain't no percentage on it, just the darker Payne's Gray in order to do the lines at first. After, here it is, after I put in the grays and all my color in there, then I would use my OMS to kind of smooth it out, blend out some of those bumps, get it nice and smooth to where I can end up putting on a second layer on top of it. And that's just to go over some of the grays. Maybe some of the paper was showing through, possibly to darken my dark areas a little bit more by using that Polychromos black. I can go in and just deepen it, deepen and darken those shadows that's in there. So here I'm using the gray as the base gray that I'm doing for the majority of the fence is the steel gray. The highlights, when I come back over it, I use a, let's see here, a silver gray is what I use out of the Caran to make my highlights on the fence. But I use my base gray first, and then after I use it, I go on top with my little lighter gray, which is a silver gray. Kind of deepening those shadows around the leaves, and I'm using my Payne's Gray for that. Later, if I'm wanting to darken it a little bit more, I may end up using a little bit of my black, but just to kind of make a line of the black around the leaf where the shadow's at to kind of deepen it. And then as you come away from the shadow, it goes from black and then goes to a little bit of a Payne's Gray, like not as dark. Here I am using my OMS, blending out this fence post. Now here I am going back over my darks. So I'm just making sure to highlight or make those stand out. There's my black pencil, my Polychromos, and see, I'm kind of going back over this other fence too, just kind of highlighting those blacks and making them deeper and darker. Here I'm going over this here. This is my highlight. Highlighting the tip tops of this fence here. Now I'm going to end up going across. Now, it's okay, you don't have to always keep your painting upright. I end up turning mine sideways so that way I can continue working on my fence and it'll just be a little bit more comfortable, especially if I'm working straight up and down. It just helps me to keep my lines a little bit more, um, like I guess it would be horizontal or vertical. My goodness, my mind has totally gone blank, but that's typical. It's Sunday for me, so. Here I can't can't tell the difference between left and right, and I can't tell the difference between horizontal and vertical. Oh boy, what am I gonna do with myself? I don't know. Be like, I got two things that I'm having trouble with today, I guess. I don't know why. I know my lefts from rights, and I know my verticals and horizontals, but oh well, it's just one of those days. So here I am just adding in my base tone. And then I'm kind of adding a little bit more of a shadow underneath of the fence. And you see me using that different color there. I end up throwing in my sepia and it looks like the sepia 50% is what I was using to kind of shadow, put some shadows underneath there, but not too dark. Then I'll end up coming back through, kind of highlighting on top of the fence and some of the areas that maybe the light might just hit. But then I'm also going through and adding my shadows by using my Payne's Gray or outlining the very center of it with the black pencil there. That was kind of a quick up close there. I don't know if you guys seen that or not. It was pretty quick. So here I am kind of highlighting a little bit of the area, adding a little bit more to my darks here. Just making sure I add that variation in that tone. There's some highlights. Now I'm turning it back over again because I am now starting on the leaves. Now with the leaves, I did notice, and I know that this was just a fun little painting that I did. I was wanting to have, like I told you guys, I wanted to have a painting that was like a 5x7, I guess fits in a like an 8x7 or 8x10 frame, but I wanted a smaller painting because I have these mattings and I have quite a bit of them that are more the smaller ones, and I kind of needed them, or at least the smaller ones, because I needed them to put up in certain areas in the house. And I was like, I need to start making some smaller paintings. I'm always making bigger paintings, but not enough of the small ones. So I decided to go ahead and work doing this smaller painting here. Now, I don't know what kind of green I used on this first leaf, but I can tell you this, I absolutely did not like that green. And I didn't really notice that I had that green in there that I pulled out of my set, but I didn't like the color of it. Like it was just the wrong type of color. It kind of reminded me of more of like a mallard kind of green. And I didn't want that for my leaves, but it happened and I will just go with it. Just the next leaf, I'm not going to have that type of green in there. It's going to be a darker green, but it's the right kind of olive kind of green that I was wanting, like a darker olive green, which that ain't actually the name of it, but definitely made it up. That's kind of what it feels like to me. And I do believe I ended up going back over this leaf, just kind of trying to recover some of it by maybe making some of it darker, adding a little bit more color. Um, I know that all leaves aren't the same, but that one definitely, I wish I used the correct green, darker green than that one. But it's okay. It all happens, and maybe that just makes it a unique leaf. So It'll be okay. So here I am, just kind of going back and forth with it. The As far as the vine goes, good tip to know is if you're using, let's just say you want those vines to kind of stand out, those little bitty, or vines, I don't know if I should say vines, but those little veins in the leaf, a good way to do it is to sharpen like either the Derwent Champagne, which I know that's more of a softer lead, but if you want to go to, well, I think both of them I was using were both Derwent Lightfast, which is a sharper lead. I was having issues with it breaking because I had such a sharp point, but then after it would break, it would create another sharp point that I would use. Nonetheless, it was either the wheat or the champagne that I used, and I would just press really hard, kind of like a burnish, and I would press really hard and make the line in the center. Then I would just kind of come out either side by pressing really hard. And by doing that, I kind of made a little indentation in the paper. And whenever you make an indentation in the paper and you go over it with green, just lightly, and don't burnish any of the green over the top of it, otherwise it's not going to work. But if you lightly go over the top of it, the wheat and or the champagne, either one of those pencils you use, it will not be covered up by the green. And so you end up seeing those veins just kind of come out. They kind of pop out like your green doesn't actually cover them. And then that's when they stand out. And then whenever you go over it with your OMS, and they still stand out. So that makes it super nice to be able to do those veins and little in the leaves. So if you're wanting those to stand out and you don't know how to, yeah, that's a good way to do it. Just burnish with your pencil the light color that you're wanting for your veins and your leaves. Burnish in the line by pushing down hard, which makes an crease or an indentation in the paper. And then you can just lightly go over it with your color pencil, just adding enough pigment though. So you want to go over it a few times. But as long as you're lightly going over it, then those little veins of the leaves will pop out that you put in there. Kind of adding some more shadows in there. And as far as the rope goes, or not the rope, the little stems where the leaves are, the little sticks or stems, I used, let's see if I can get the colors out for you to tell you. I used a little bit of my burnt sienna, and I think it's the Caran burnt sienna 50%, which is a little bit of a reddish tone. I did that for like the base of the stem, and then I used my raw sienna, which is more of a yellowish kind of color. It's a raw sienna to do the stem color. And then I also switched over to either using my champagne or my wheat to give it that highlight or that lighter tone. So I used 3 colors on that one. And always make sure that if you're using OMS, I usually dip my brush in the OMS or odorless mineral spirits. I dip it in there and then I wipe it off on my paper towel. And I'll use like a Viva paper towel, which is more like a cloth like material. It's much easier to absorb than regular paper. So I wipe it off really good on my paper towel and then I come back and that's when I use my brush to blend out the leaves and the colors or the color pencil that I have on there. I don't try and put a whole bunch on because if you don't do that, you're going to oversaturate your paper. You may end up having some of your color pencil may even bleed a little bit into areas that you don't want it to. So just a little bit goes a long way. And I just heard my son scream. He's playing with his friend upstairs. And yeah, they can get quite noisy. They are definitely teenagers. I don't know what room to go into. So if you hear somebody scream in the background, don't worry about that. That is just my teenage son playing games with his um, his friend, school friend, and they play on these games. And my goodness, sometimes I wonder if people are like wondering if we're okay over here. When he screams, it sounds like, I don't know. He seriously kind of sounds a little bit like out of like a scary movie or something's going on. Yeah, he gets carried away, so. But here I am working on the shadows of these leaves, just kind of going in with my wheat right now. I'm just going in and adding in all the little veins and all this stuff ahead of time, so that way they're already in there. And now I'm starting to blend out some of these leaves that I already had done. But yeah, working on color pencil, I mean, it is very time consuming. Even this really smaller piece, I mean, it's just a fence with some leaves. And then I started doing my color pencil, and it seriously, took me quite a bit to actually get done on this one, especially when you're working leaves and you're having to work so many leaves. Oh my goodness, it takes forever, and it just feels like you're kind of doing the same thing repeatedly over and over and over again. And it definitely does take a lot of patience. I mean, you just got to complete one leaf at a time. I had to take several breaks in between just because, doing leaves and just being repetitive with leaf after leaf after leaf. Yeah, it definitely got me tired, and I just wanted to do something more, but instead, take a break, come back, and then start it again. Eventually, once I got done with this, I was super, super happy. I'll end up showing you guys at the very end of this. I am going to actually put it in a matting, so, or at least I'm not going to tape it to the matting, but I'm going to show you what the matting looks like. Also, it helps to figure out where I'm going to sign the painting. And then, yeah. And here I just forgot that there was a piece of the fence kind of showing here from the other fence post. So I'm kind of going back in and doing the same kind of setup with this little sliver of fence on the corner. Just adding in some of my darks, my grays, my Payne's gray, and then my highlight. And now I'm working on these little straggly leaves that are in this little area here. But if you like this video, please leave a like. And if you haven't subscribed already, definitely subscribe and hit the like button. Would definitely help the channel out by hitting the likes. That way YouTube could show me to basically anybody out there. They usually put your video out so others can see by depending on how many likes and views you get. So that would definitely help. And like I said, if you haven't subscribed, you definitely want to subscribe. If you want to see the new Powerful Pack for May 2023, that is coming up on my next video. So super excited about that. So here's the little matting that I'm doing, which is a white and black. Just trying to see exactly where I would be signing it. So I'm just going to go ahead and take out this little matting. I got it from like Hobby Lobby. It's super cheap. It's very nice little matting. Put in the matting, and then I'm just going to go ahead and sign my name right here. And I absolutely love this matting. Looks gorgeous and just such a simple little thing to do, just to add that little bit of pop. Here I'm removing the tape, and I'm kind of sped up, so. All right, and there's my finished piece, my mixed media charcoal, water soluble charcoal, and color pencil. Put it in the little frame here. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time for our Powerful Pack review for May 2023. And remember, click the like and hit the subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you all next time. Bye, you guys.